Hey class, so we're going to be talking about torque, and I made a quick small video around the household where torque can be found. So I'll do a quick recap of what torque is. So torque is force times distance. So if you have a quick look at this picture here, so that's your rotational axis and that's the force. And with my thumb, if I apply this force across, the sheet will rotate like this from that rotational axis. Notice that this and this are perpendicular to each other. So let's have a look at a tap. So in here, the rotational axis is this red point, goes all the way. So when I turn the tap on, the tap rotates from that point. So our distance is there, and my thumb is applying the force. And so if I add this finger as well, there'll be another torque from the center to this point. And if I do all three, I'm adding more and more torque. So let's have a quick look at the diagram. So that's the red point we saw before, and that's the distance, and that's the force. So it applies in all three corners. And if you add them up, so you got the total torque of F1 times D, F2 times D, and F3 times D. So there's three of them. So for example, if this tap had 4 corners, it will actually, if you're able to apply force in all 4 corners, you will actually get more torque. So all of these are, so when I turn it, I'm applying all the torque in counterclockwise. Then I do the opposite direction when I turn it the other way around. So let's have a look at another torque. So this is in the oven. So in here, there's a hinge of the oven. So that will be the rotational axis. So if I move a little bit further from the oven, so that will be my distance. So if I try to move it, it's actually quite hard to open the oven. It's almost impossible. I can't do it even if I try the hardest. Right? But as I increase the distance, because torque is force times distance, I'm actually increasing the torque I can put on it. So when I'm, let's say, at the top, I can easily open it. Yeah. So if you have a look at the diagram, so the rotational axis is there, and that is the distance. And I'm putting this force with my finger. As I increase increase the distance between there and there, I'm actually putting more and more of the torque. Right. So this is the question that a lot of you had trouble with. This is Awa's bike. So let's have a look at the torque from this point. So in here, that's the rotational axis, because as it rotates, it rotates at that point. Okay. So this is the question I'm talking about. This is this question with the bike. So notice in this question that the weight, it's always acting down, straight down. So at this stage, have a look at the shadow. Yeah, the bulb is right above me, so that it produces a shadow here. So if I'm putting a weight right on that rotational axis, I cannot rotate the wheels. Yeah, and you can see it from the shadow as well. Yeah, the force I'm putting it on is actually going right through the rotational axis. Okay, so what is the scenario? So then I start moving it a little bit across, right? So look at the rotational axis there. Now I have a distance. So that distance is the one that we are interested in. Yeah? So if I keep on rotating it, notice the shadow. The distance keeps on increasing. So as you know from the formula, the torque is force times distance. So now the force I'm applying straight down, so now I have this distance. So if I keep on turning, the biggest distance I get is when my bike is like this. Yeah, as you can see from the shadow. So from that point, I get the largest torque. So to recap, when I'm right across like this, right, my distance is 0 from that rotational axis, right? So I'm going right down the middle. So the torque is 0. So when I keep on going a little bit further, I am actually increasing that distance. So my torque is getting bigger, and my torque is the largest when it's across like this. So if I go across like this, yeah. Another thing that uses torque is some wrench. So in here we got some spanner and I was trying to find a bolt, but I couldn't find any bolts. So, and it's dark outside, so I couldn't go to the car. So in here, if you imagine if there's a bolt in here, right? Then with my hands, I apply a force, yeah, and my torque is that force times by that distance. Okay? So the common way is that, like, if you can't undo the bolt with this spanner, you will add like a pipe here, which will increase that distance. So when I get a larger distance, again, just like the Allen hinge, when my distance gets bigger and bigger, that I can have more torque. So it will be more easier to undo that bolt. So you will see it in the garages, people will have like a pipe that they can put on it here to increase their torque. Another standard tool is one of these wrenches. So when you move like this, so that's your rotational axis, and if I hold it here, that is my distance. But I can keep on increasing the distance. Yeah. So the wrench will be more effective when I'm holding it down here. Yeah. And again, just like the spanner, you can put a pipe under here and increasing the torque.